Robbie runs into the house and sees Emilie, pale in a pool of blood on the floor, still alive. "I called 911, says Gabe. Robbie gets down next to Emilie and lifts her up to a seated position. He notices 2 hard knots on her back. What the... He lifts up the back of her shirt and sees 2 white, bone-like protrusions. "Give me my phone." Gabe grabs the phone off the counter and Robbie calls Coulson. "Coulson, I need your help. It's Emilie." "What's wrong?" asks Coulson, concerned. "I don't know. There's blood everywhere. Gabe called for an ambulance. We're on our way." "What's wrong?" asks May. "Emilie," he says, and calls Mac. "Mac, Emily's been hurt. I need you guys to get there, ASAP. We'll meet you at the drop-off point in 45 minutes. Have Fitz intercept an emergency frequency and call off emergency services en route." "What's going on, Robbie?" asks a confused Gabe. "She needs a hospital, not SHIELD." "A hospital can't help her," he says, cradling her body. The team speeds into the driveway where Matt carries her out. Simmons starts her on a small bag of emergency fluids and from her field kit, and Robbie follows them with Gabe in the Charger. Coulson is waiting with Zephyr 1 when they get to the drop-off point. Once on board, they get Emilie to medical for Simmons to examine. "What happened?" asks Simmons. Robbie rolls Emilie towards him and lifts up the back of her shirt. "Oh my, let's get her on her stomach," says Simmons, grabbing a pair of scissors and cuts her shirt open. "Is that bone?" "She's burning up," mentions Robbie. Simmons rinses the blood away from the protrusions. "I'm not sure what to do other than try to reduce the fever and keep her comfortable." She injects Emilie with some meds to ease her pain and bring down her fever. "She's stable, but all we can do now is monitor her," says Simmons sorrowfully. Gabe wills himself to the door as they patch up the wounds on Emilie's back and get her situated to be put in a containment cube for observation. Gabe finds Robbie in the cube with her once she has been settled in. He's holding her hand and wiping her head with a cool cloth. "She gonna be okay?" asks Gabe, entering the cube. "She'll pull through," says Robbie, hopeful. "She's one of them, isn't she?" "One of what?" asks Robbie, not liking Gabe's tone. "She's inhuman." "No. She's something else," admits Robbie. "How long have you known?" "Why does it matter?" questions Robbie. "She could be dangerous, Robbie." "Dangerous?" he repeats in disbelief. He can't believe what he's hearing. "She's not dangerous. All you know about Inhumans is what you see on TV. What has she ever done to you, huh? To us?" "You're whipped, Robbie. And you moving me in with the 2 of you, knowing she was one of those things, put me at risk." "Leave," demands Robbie. "Just get out of here. Please." Gabe leaves. Robbie stays by Emilie's side where she remains stable. Emilie has no idea what's going on. What feels like a day has only been a few hours. She remembered reaching into her spice cabinet when an excruciating pain shot through her back. It took her breath away, and she stumbled back. The pain resonated as she looked down at the floor to see blood. She reached towards the back of her shirt to feel the warm fluid running down onto the floor. "Robbie?" she remembered calling faintly before falling to the ground. Now she was sitting atop a cliff, looking out at the sea. "I wish I had answers for you, sweetie," says her father, walking up behind her. "Unfortunately, there isn't a guidebook for what you're going through." I'm not," she starts to ask. No. You're not dead," he assures her. "But you are unconscious, in the care of your friends. You know, a little heads up on the powers and stuff would be nice." He laughs. "I'm just as clueless as you are. A Nephilim's only attribute used to be wings. It was a sign of impurity. A woman who gave into the advances of an angel was considered a tramp, and should the child develop powers, they would destroy them. It wasn't until God saw some of his angels truly falling in love with his creations that he eliminated their wings to protect their identity. We are so excited to see the woman you've become and the powers you've developed. We? Asked Emilie. Your father isn't the only one who gets to watch you grow, says a motherly voice from behind. She turns to see her mother standing behind her. She gets up and hugs her tight. My baby, she says with tears in her eyes. She takes a step back and looks at her. Simmons walks into the cube and sees Robbie resting his head on the bed next to Emilie. Anything? She asks. He shakes his head and she changes out her IV bag. How do they look? Says Emilie, slowly gaining consciousness. What? Robbie asks, not sure if he was hearing things. My wings, she mumbles. Wings? Asks Simmons. Is that what those are? I hate to break it to you, but they're not much to look at, she jokes. Emilie cracks a smile, still doped up on pain meds. I saw my parents, she tells Robbie. They said hi. Simmons and Robbie look on, entertained by her hazy return to consciousness. Simmons reduces the morphine drip as Emilie becomes more alert. After a couple of hours, they get her up and moving around HQ with a little assistance, the bony protrusions steadily growing. Emilie takes slow, steady steps as Robbie guides her around the halls towards the lab. How's your pain? Asks Simmons as they sit her on a table and prep her for a few x-rays. On a scale of 1 to 10, asks Emilie. Just kill me. I can get you some more morphine if you want, offers Simmons. I'd rather deal with it than feel like a zombie. Simmons takes a few x-rays of Emilie's back and pulls it up on screen for her to see. And there they are, she says, excited. Your body must be fighting it off like some kind of infection. That's most likely why you came down with a fever. Emilie grabs Robbie's hand and squeezes as a wave of pain pulses through her back. He and Simmons watch as more of the wings become visible, now bearing feathers. God, that feels weird, she says, exhaling as the pain eases. Can you move them at all? Asks Simmons. Fitz walks into the lab. Holy hell. Are those wings? Emilie tries to concentrate on her new appendages. It's an unreal feeling, almost like when your leg falls asleep. You know it's there, you can feel it and move it, but it doesn't feel like you should. She finally gets a feel and slowly starts to move them. Little by little, they ease out. Finally, they are free and fully visible. It's not every day you see an angel get its wings, says Simmons. Yeah, well, let's hope she doesn't pop a halo out the top of her head, says Fitz. I think your wardrobe is going to need a few adjustments, suggests Simmons. So much for not drawing unnecessary attention, she says to Robbie. Simmons and Fitz take a few samples from Emilie's wings before she leaves to go shower. She gets in and finds it awkward at first. The wings fan out slightly above her ears and curve down to her lower back. She pauses for a moment, trying to figure out how to wash them. She curves them around her body as the water flushes away all the blood and tissue from when they emerged. The warm water feels good as it runs down the feathers over her healing wounds. She gets out and looks at them in the mirror. Victoria's Secret? Eat your heart out, she says as she flexes them, shaking off any excess water. She rips her tank top and ties it behind her neck like a halter top so her wings would fit. She slowly makes her way back to the containment cube to rest. It's not long after Gabe comes in to visit. Whoa, he says, entering the cube. Sorry, did I wake you? No, I've been up for a while. I was just relaxing. She pauses, noticing his stare. I guess the secret's out. Yeah, it is. He rolls his chair next to her bed. So what are you? Some type of bird inhuman? Emilie laughs. No, I'm not an inhuman. I'm actually a Nephilim. Gabe laughs sarcastically. You're half angel? Emilie looks at him blankly. Yeah. Can I ask you something and you be completely honest with me? Gabe, I've always been completely honest with you. Yeah, right, he says again with sarcasm. Do you love my brother? Emilie looked at him confused. Why? What does... Just answer the question, he demands. Yes. Would you do anything for him? He asks. Gabe, I really don't see what you're... Answer the question. Emilie looks at Gabe with concern in her eyes. Yes. Then leave him alone, he tells her intensely. He has been through enough, and your kind are nothing but trouble. You can call yourself whatever you want to, but you're still an inhuman, and you're dangerous. Robbie is all I have left, and I'm not going to lose him to you. Gabe, I would never, never do anything to hurt you or Robbie. He means so much to me. He means more to me, interrupts Gabe. If you stay with him, it's only going to lead him down the wrong path. No one's going to lead me anywhere, states Robbie, walking into the cube. He looks at Gabe with disappointment. I don't understand you, Gabe. I'm just looking out for you. That's not your job. I alone am responsible for the decisions I've made. I'm trying to stop you from making another bad one, Robbie. Robbie starts to get frustrated. Why? Because she's different? What if it were you or me in her situation? Robbie, don't, pleads Emilie. No. It's time he knows. Know what? Asks Gabe. What I've been hiding from you. Robbie transforms into the rider, and Gabe backs away. You're the Ghost Rider? This whole time it's been you? He looks over at Emilie and then back at the rider. I can't believe you, he says hurtfully as he wheels himself out of the containment cube. Emilie watches as Robbie changes back to himself. He looks down in disappointment. Emilie sits up on the side of the bed and grabs his hand. You didn't have to do that, Robbie. Yeah, I did, he says with a sigh. Not just for you, but for me. Fitzsimmons were only able to swab enough material out of the vial Emilie provided to run one test. The results gave them a wide range of chemical components used to create the drug. Huh, scoffs Fitz. You know, you'd think for something so potent, it would have some secret chemical agent. No chemical X? Jokes Simmons. Look at this. It's basically steroids and hormones. Simmons walks over and looks at the test results. Considering what we were able to find from that one test, one could only speculate to the potency of this solution. I mean, look at those ratios. A vial that size would make the person highly unstable. There is no way of telling how individuals will react under its influence. How are things coming? Asks Coulson, walking into the lab. Simmons shows him the test results. Is this anything like Director Mason takes? He asks. There's no telling, says Fitz. The scientists behind the director's serum were very hush-hush. Only a handful of people were involved in its engineering. Well, I think it's time we find out what gives him his powers, responds Coulson. He leaves the lab and heads to his office to contact the director. Emilie heads over to the kitchen while Robbie and Mac meet with May. She sits down at the table with a bottle of water. Wow, says Quake, walking in. Emilie sighs and takes a sip of her water. They look good on you, says Quake, trying to cheer her up. not exactly subtle, she says as Quake pulls up a chair. Everything was going so smoothly the last couple of months. You can't hide what you are, says Quake. I don't want to hide. I just don't want to be feared, she says. Robbie revealed himself to Gabe. Why? I thought he didn't want him to worry. Because of me. Gabe thinks I'm inhuman and that I'm a danger to Robbie. Robbie overheard our conversation and came clean about being the ghostwriter, explains Emilie, taking another sip of her water. We've had some really good times the last couple of months with Gabe, moving in and Robbie spending more time with him. Now Gabe hates us both. I'm sure things will come around in time. I've always thought the good outweighed the bad in the world. It just seems like now the scales are tipping. Mac and Robbie come walking in. Me and Robbie are going to head out and find out what we can on this grumpy dude. Simmons would like you to head over to the lab whenever you get a chance, says Mac to Emilie. I'll grab you a few things from the house on our way back, says Robbie. He kisses Emilie goodbye as him and Mac head out in the Charger. Emilie walks into the lab to find an excited Simmons. Oh good, I can't wait for you to try this on. She hands Emilie a suit. I've made some adjustments for your wings. Emilie puts the suit on and expands her wings. How does it feel? Pretty good. You guys sending me on a mission? Questions Emilie. No, not yet anyway. Just thought this might be more comfortable with the extra appendages and all, replies Simmons. You know, blending in with these is going to be impossible, replies Emilie. I was going to say difficult. You don't have to sugarcoat it. I've already been weighing out my options. Coulson meets Director Mason in D.C. to see about obtaining a sample of his inhuman formula. He was believed to be an inhuman until almost a year ago it was learned by Coulson and his team that he was taking a formula that gave him his powers. Absolutely not, says the director firmly. Director, I know your powers are classified intel, but if this drug is anything like the one used to give you your powers, then it might get us closer to finding out who this Hyde character is and who's funding him. This isn't some concoction someone is brewing up in their backyard. This is sophisticated work. The director stares at Coulson for a moment, debating what he is asking of him. This is way above my head. He looks at his watch. My next dose is in 30 minutes. Afterwards, I'll let you take a blood sample. There should be enough serum in my system for you to analyze the formula. Fair enough, agrees Coulson. Robbie and Mac drive around town asking questions about Grumpy and the new drug he's selling. Most people take them for undercover police and blow them off. Anything? Asks Mac. Robbie shakes his head. Then he sees a guy down an alley dripping the solution into his eye. Hey, calls out Robbie, crossing the street into the alley. Where'd you get that? Him and Mac walk down the alley towards the man, who starts to feel the effects of the drug. He becomes enraged and thrashes around like a madman. He spots Mac and Robbie and charges them. Mac effortlessly punches the guy in the face and knocks him out. Robbie looks at Mac surprised. They load him into the trunk of the Charger and head to a private area. Once the man wakes, they question him. Where did you get this? Asks Mac, holding up the vial containing the drug. You 5-0? Asks the man. No. Now where did you get this? Repeats Mac. I found it. Robbie walks up to the man and slams him against the car, his eyes glowing with fire. Please, I got it off a guy on 35th. He said it would change me, make me feel powerful. What was his name? Questions Robbie. I don't know. He rode off with the guy in a blue GTO. Robbie lets go of the man. He and Mac get into the car. The guy we're looking for is DeMarcus. He likes to hang out at the pool hall downtown, says Robbie. He and Mac head towards the pool hall. So when we get there, what are we going to do? I'll figure something out, says Robbie.